So my name is Tien Tzuo. I am the CEO of Zuora. We are, think of us as a 1,300 person software as a service company. We've been incredibly fast growing. We have a subscription management platform that helps all sorts of companies really enter and grow subscription-based businesses, be successful in the subscription economy. And one of the reasons we started working with Workboard was it wasn't just a software tool, right? It was a set of people that were going to come in and coach our organizations, right, how to do this right. And you hear stories about other people implementing OKR systems, and you'll hear things that takes a year, 2 years, and sometimes it rolls out in one part of the organization. And we really wanted something for the entire company. And so having a set of coaches from Workboard really come and teach us how to do that was important. So what we decided to do is we took about 100 folks to an offsite in Monterey, California, right by the aquarium. And we did a bunch of legwork in about 2 months preceding that to come up with our 5 corporate objectives, right? We weren't sure we were gonna have 3, 4, 5. We ended up with 5 corporate objectives that would set the ground rules or set the goals for the company really for the next 18 months. And then at the offsite, we divided the folks up into about 12 or 13 teams. And then the teams would, we'd spend about half a day explaining the context between the 5 corporate goals. And the next day and a half, really localizing the 5 corporate goals, 5 corporate objectives across the 12 or 13 teams. And so we came out of that offsite a completely unified organization. Well, the response has been incredibly positive. And so after the offsite, we continued to refine the objectives and the key results across the 12 or 13 teams, but then we also started localizing these. And so it's about a month since the offsite. And I think to date, we have about 120 teams with objectives and key results documented in the system. Our goal is to get to about 140. The missing gap was primarily the sales team. They needed to close out their quarter first before they really could start focusing on this. And what we're seeing now is the level of collaboration is high, which is exactly what we wanted, right? That once the team started being able to see, well, first of all, each team had to be able to crystallize their objectives and key results. And then they realized that in order to achieve some of these key results, there were dependencies on other teams. And so just the transparency of what people are doing, the level of collaboration, we're seeing teams reach out to each other. There's always a magical moment where we start seeing cross-linked KRs, right, where different teams are actually own the same key results. And that's exactly what we wanted. We were worried that we were getting to a scale where the left hand and the right hand didn't really know what each other was doing. And with the Workboard system, with the complete transparency of what people are working on, that's really starting to break down. We've gone beyond just setting the 5 objectives. So there certainly was the exercise of setting the 5 objectives. There was the exercise of thinking about key results. But to bring it to life, right? Other companies might say, well, we'll set the objectives, we'll set the key results, and then we'll look at it at the end of the quarter. Right, but to really bring it to life, it really works when you can start looking at it every single week. So in our staff meetings every week, we will start off with a biz review dashboard inside a Workboard. It says, okay, where are we? We'll go around the table and say, where are we on every one of the key results against our 5 objectives? Are we on target to hit it? And we're just starting this quarter, right? And so it's a start of the journey. And it just keeps us focused on exactly what it is that we set out to do as an organization, and not get distracted and pulled into too many other areas. The other things we're starting to do now is to delve one level deeper. So once we are aligned on how are we doing against our 5 corporate objectives, what are the spots in the companies, right, that we're worried about? And so we're getting to the point where if we have a question, the first thing we do is we fire up Workboard. We go search for the team, and we get an understanding of what their OKRs first, right? So that when we engage with them, we know exactly what it is that they're trying to do and how we can support them. Yeah, so there's a whole concept that Workboard really started teaching our teams in terms of output versus outcome. And what you see is that we tend to go too far, too quickly to the task, right? What is the action item that we need to do? What is the deliverable that we're going to produce? And again, when the company is smaller and the people in the company feel the direct impact of the marketplace, right? Are the customers happy? Are we making our numbers? Is the system delivering the uptime and the reliability it needs? You feel that when you're a 30-person company, right? You feel that when you're a 300-person company. When you're 1,300 people and you've got a team, what happens is the team is spending more time with themselves or with people in their functions. And they just tend to be further removed from what the market is telling them. And so in order to overcome that, we really need to transition to understanding outcomes, right? What is the outcome that you're trying to produce? The other thing is when you're looking at cross-functional alignment, when you're looking at multi-team alignment, and you're trying to understand what a team over there is doing. When you're small, you've got so much interaction with each other that you kind of understand what they're doing. When you're larger and you're looking at what another team is doing in terms of the output they're creating or the tasks that they're doing, it's hard to understand, right? It's hard to understand why is that important. It's hard to negotiate, with the other team in terms of are these the right outcomes that we're looking for, and it's hard to drive accountability. And so there's a whole learning process that we're going through of saying, okay, these are the action items, but what are the outcomes that you're looking for? The last piece that I'll say is the role of leadership and the role of managers becomes even more important at our size and scale. And it's going to continue to elevate. And so there's a role in leaders not dictating the work, but really understanding if these are the business objectives of the company, these are the outcomes that we're looking for, and then empower their teams to figure out how to achieve those outcomes. And so what Workboard is really allowing us to do is to develop better managers and better leaders.